What's up guys, this is Kenneth and this is The Walking Dead Season 1 review. The Walking Dead by Telltale Games is an episodic, interactive, point-and-click story adventure. It's basically a story driven by the decisions you make and dealing with the consequences of your actions.
I'm going. Good.
Season 1 of The Walking Dead comes in 5 parts, and there's a final DLC at the end titled 400 Days. The main story is contained within the 5 episodes and is not tied to the DLC, but you do get to see and experience more of the world and the peripheral characters from the main story in the DLC. So the game takes place in the world of Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead, a zombie-infested post-apocalyptic world where people just try to survive. You play as Lee Everett, a convicted murderer on his way to jail out of Atlanta when the zombie breakout occurs. The police car he is in wrecks, where he escapes the zombies to a nearby house. It's there where he finds a young, abandoned girl named Clementine, and they begin their search for a safe place together. Along the way, you travel to several different places, meet many different people, face impossible situations, and just try to survive to the next day. The choices put on you are difficult and the consequences are sometimes really severe. I keep wondering how anyone could make these choices, and I question the morality of my decisions every step of the way.
Let go of her, you son of a bitch!
You'll take roughly an hour to 2 per episode, depending on how many people you talk to, and how fast you choose to progress with the story. I've done both, and I found it more satisfying to take my time to speak with everyone while progressing with the story. This game is just not meant to be rushed, and it really wants to just bathe you in its world, so just let it. I mean, if you speed things up to the end, you'll just miss the beautiful scenery on your journey there. The characters are deep and well thought out. Each of them have their own agenda, they have their own motives, and they're not cardboard stock characters. I mean, though you may see 1 or 2 stereotypical archetypes. You know who when you see them. But I strongly suggest talking to everyone, understanding more of the character, because what they say gives you more relevance to their story and how they feel towards different situations you might come across later.
You want to get violent, you old fuck? Well, come on! You better have a plan to kill me, though, because it's me before anyone else in here!
The graphics in this game is nothing to boast about. The art style is quite similar to Borderlands. Think grungy, thick outlines and pastel colors, that's about it. You can't come here expecting real-time HDR rendering, it's just not gonna happen. Graphics are just not the focus here. The interface is pretty simplistic, a mouse cursor, dots to show you what you can interact with, dialogue options with a timer, and that's about it. You don't even have an inventory menu, just a small sidebar to tell you what you're currently carrying. Minimalistic. And despite the lack of photorealistic graphics, this game still manages a good range of scenes and different light dynamics. The scenes are varied and change fast enough for you to enjoy the different moods of the story without getting bored in between. The sound in this game is passable. I mean, the Foley is well done and you feel like you're in those places, be it a farm or a forest or a store or wherever. But the crux of the sound in this game lies in the voice acting. This interactive game would break down without a good cast, and they did an excellent job selecting one. The voice actors play cleanly to their parts and you see a huge range of emotions from the voice actors, and nothing feels out of place as they scream in rage or cry in despair at their situation, making their plight all the more believable. It's really quite an experience.
Kenny, I love you very much. I love our son more than life itself. I need you to hear me.
The game controls are pretty simple. You get your standard WSAD movement and your mouse to interact with objects. There are a few QTEs in the game where you have to mash the button Q followed by E. It adds tension, but serves nothing more than breaking the monotonous tempo of clicking and dialogue. There are some side puzzles in each scenario for you to solve. Find a screwdriver, unlock a door, make some noise, simple things. The puzzle difficulty is not high enough for you to get stuck, and they don't really offer you help or tips to solve them. Either way, the puzzles are just to keep you active and engaged while they tell you this amazing story.
That should do it.
And finally, the main attraction and problem I have with this game, the choice making. I really liked how choices worked in this game. The many choices I made impacted the way the story moved, and the reactions from the game came from my responses, and the game world changed exactly according to how I acted in every situation. The things that I said had weight, and my opinion, or lack of, mattered. Choices come with a silence option, and I could simply choose not to speak and allow the other characters to come to their own conclusions. The world moved on with or without my involvement, and that breathed life into the world of the game. I mean, this wasn't some RPG which skids to a halt if I didn't continue the main quest. It was real, and I could either buck up and survive, or just die in ignorance and inaction. You see the consequences of your past actions show up here and there, and the world starts to shake with these little details of the specific decisions I made in the beginning. It involves you in the greatest form of storytelling by inviting you to help tell the story and see a world built from the consequences of your own actions.
It's okay.
There is, however, one issue I had with the game, a huge issue. You see, I've played the first seasons at least 3 times to completion, each taking a different course of action as I previously had. And during the replays, the game completely broke down for me. As I had explained, the most exciting part of this game is about the choices you make in the toughest of situations, and how you deal and survive with those choices and consequences. It made the game feel real, and I felt that my choices actually mattered. Now what actually happened when I played it over was that I realized that actually my choices didn't matter, and this really upset me. I mean, there were some changes in the minor details along the way, but ultimately the outcome was always the same. Nothing I chose actually mattered, and I was railroaded like any other linear shooter. This game started to unravel, and I started realizing nothing I chose made any impact on the story they wanted to tell me, and that I wasn't in as much control of my choices as I thought I was. I wasn't shaping the game at all. But honestly, maybe this feeling of betrayal came about because I liked the game so much that I built this world and had so much love for it that when I saw the man behind the curtain, I was disappointed. Like how magic tricks are revealed in an anticlimactic sort of way. Although this really isn't a deal breaker, I like it just as much, the experience was just as fun, but if I didn't understand the mechanics behind the choice making, it would have made it better. I'm still gonna play Season 2 and the other games Telltale has in store for me. It's just too much fun.
Hey Lee, if we don't make it through this, you should know that I think you're a great guy.
Shut up, dog.
Without a doubt, The Walking Dead by Telltale Games is fantastic. It's a great interactive story that keeps you on your feet, puts you in the shoes of the characters, and engages you wholly. You're left wondering if you could have handled situations better and made better decisions. It's nothing short of brilliant, and I highly suggest getting it because it's cheap and it's worth that single playthrough. Just try not to think so deeply into the choices you make, because in the end, only you could have made those choices. And for more reviews, gameplays, and commentaries, head over to nerdsomnia.com.